guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get right into this video. So today we have here Sister Spice.
Hello!
And we're gonna be doing her nails today. So this is gonna be one part. We're only going to be doing one hand, and then in the next video, part 2, we'll do the other hand. So we have a really fun nail set to get into and also some creepy Reddit stories.
Ooh.
So here's the nail set we're going to be doing today. Here's pretty much everything we're going to need. It's a really cute, colorful spring nail set. So here's all the gel polishes we're gonna need. We have just a lot of spring colors basically. There's a lot. For the polygel, we're going to need this nude color, and then we have some other nail decorations here, some flowers, this iridescent chrome, some gems, and some butterfly decoration. That's pretty much all we're going to need for this nail set. Let's just, what do I say after that?
All right, now let's get into the nail.
You don't even know. You don't even watch my vid.
Remember everything you say?
Okay, so that's pretty much all we're going to need. So let's just get right into this nail set. Okay, here are Sister Spice's natural nails, and we're gonna get started with the nail prep. So I'm just gonna start off by pushing back the cuticles. Oh my gosh. Let it be known, sanity rate. Right now, I'm not going too crazy. Right now, I'm at a good 1 out of 10. But let's do our math then.
He said, for the record, I'm at a sanity rating of 1 out of 10, and it's currently 1:36 p.m. Just for the record.
Now I'm going to take this circular cuticle drill bit, and I'm going to work this around all the cuticle areas. Should put on the higher speed for my favorite client.
You say that's all your clients?
No, just my best one.
You wanna let this definitely in the meantime?
You know, this is an ASMR part in my video, and you're just talking.
Oh, is it? I thought that really,
Because you don't watch my videos, you don't know. Okay, now I'm going to take my cuticle scissors and trim off all this excess dead skin. Accentuate on all, because there's a lot.
Should be played at high volume.
Next, I'm going to take my fine grit sanding band and I'm going to file over the surface of the nails. Okay, next I'm going to size out the nail tips. So I'm gonna glue on the nail tips using some nail glue.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to get painting on those flowers.
Me too.
Okay, nail tips are all glued on now. Now we're gonna trim them down. Where do you want these? To the cuticle, right? Close to the cuticle as possible. It's like, we're literally cutting off real nail. It's like, why do we even glue on tips?
How are we even gonna do that back design? You can't crank my finger and the skin off.
Okay, now we're going to shape all the nail tips. I'm just gonna make sure that everything's nice and straight and straighten out the tip of the nail. So all of the nail tips are like blended in and shaped. Now I'm going to take the fine grit sanding band and remove the shine from all the tips. Okay, so all the nail tips are filed. Now I'm going to add on some Dehydrator. Next, I'm going to add on some primer. Next, I'm going to add on a layer of base coat. Okay, so here's all the colors we're gonna use. And to do, oh no, we don't need to be upside down. And to do this nail art, we're just gonna start on the nail first because it's gonna be the underside of the nail. So I'm gonna start off, you gotta do the yellow dots first before the petals. So we got the dots on here. We're gonna cure this first layer. Okay, now I'm just going to take the colors randomly and put them in a flower shape over the yellow dots. Flip it, I gotta see it. Oh, it's actually good. It actually is good.
It's just like the picture.
It looks not good from the top.
It's like a messed up star.
It's definitely not looking right from the top, but from, it doesn't matter. Ooh, those colors are really too similar.
It's giving just melted egg yolk.
Okay, that's much better. Okay, so here's the nail, right, with all the flowers, and you're like, well, it just looks like some blobs. But when you flip it, wow. See, that is so cute. And then with the white background, like, this is so easy to do. Please do this. Look how cute. Next, we're gonna add on a layer of top coat because we're going to be putting on some chrome powder before we put on the white. And we're just going to rub this over the nail. So here's how it looks, super reflective, so cute. So we have all the layers and nail art done. Now finally we need to add the background, which is going to be white. And we're just gonna paint this on the tip of the nail. Okay, now we're just gonna cure this. And here's how it looks. That is so cool. Here's how the undersides turned out. Now onto the polygel. So for the polygel, we're going to use this polygel from Makartt, and basically we're just going to cover all the nails with this because we're going to be drawing on the French tip after. Base color for these nails is going to be this nude. And while we do the polygel, Sister Spice is going to tell some creepy Reddit stories.
Hello guys, it's me, Sister Spice. I think I have compiled a pretty nice set of stories here. But this first one that I'm reading, it is 2 parts. So the first part is titled, "Attention shoppers, please hide at the back of the store immediately." And this is from the subreddit No Sleep. "Attention shoppers," came a male voice over the intercom. "Please move to the back of the store immediately." "The back of the store?" I whispered to Daniel. "Don't they mean the front of the store, like so we can pay our stuff? It was 8:50 p.m., 10 minutes till closing time. We brought our 2 kids on this late night Walmart excursion in hopes of burning off some energy. Instead, they just thrown tantrums for new Legos and Hot Wheels. It was a disaster, but apparently the disaster was just beginning. Please move to the back of the store immediately, the voice repeated overhead. This is not a drill. I glanced around, but the other shoppers were just as confused as I was. An old lady looked up at the ceiling, scrunching her face. What the heck? A dark-haired woman asked her boyfriend, pushing a cart full of garden supplies. Garden supplies at 8:50 p.m.? Gardening in the dark. Didn't you hear? The older man said, leaning over his cart of bottled water and canned food. We're in a tornado watch. 1 touchdown in Sorrowville. A tornado? It was definitely storming outside. I'd seen the black clouds roll in from the east earlier, but it didn't look that bad. Do not stay out in the open. I repeat, do not stay out in the open. There was a pause. Then an explosion of sound as everyone began to mobilize. Carts rolling, panicked voices, feet slapping on the floor.
Wow, are we not wearing shoes?
No. This cannot be happening. I hurried down the toy aisle, Tucker in my arms, Daniel and Jackson following me. 3 zigzaggy turns, and then we were in the electronics area. I glanced at the TVs on the wall and pictured the 4 of us crushed underneath them. Stay away from the windows and doors. The voice continued on the loudspeaker. And do not attempt to exit the store. Is it safe here? Daniel shook his head. Big open areas aren't good. I'm going to check in the back, see if there's a break room or something. You stay here, okay? I nodded. Arms shaking, I sat down on the ground between 2 shelves of video games. Tucker sucked on a bottle in my arms while Jackson began to giggle. Is this tornado gonna hit the store and everything will go flying around real fast? He asked with a big stupid grin on his face. I don't know. A tornado, a real life tornado like you see in the movies, plowing through our town. It was just so unfathomable. We were New York natives, transplanted here to Indiana only 6 months ago. I've never been in a tornado watch my entire life. Do you know if Indiana is tornado prone?
No.
I never heard of like a tornado thing in Indiana.
I've never even heard anything about Indiana, period. Where even is Indiana?
I thought it was like near Chicago or something. I couldn't tell you where Indiana is.
It's probably near like Wisconsin.
You know, I think you might be right. The middle states, because that's where tornadoes are, in the middle states. Do you think your subscribers live in Indiana? No?
Any of y'all live in Indiana? If you do, what's it like there?
What's it like? Do you got tornadoes? Or is that just a myth? Is this just made up?
Is Indiana made up? What's Indiana known for?
Indiana Jones?
Is Indiana Jones his name? Is his name Indiana?
Can't be. His name can't be. Maybe he's from Indiana. Anybody watch Indiana Jones? So why would these people move from New York to Indiana? What's in Indiana?
Tornadoes. Unless it's a myth.
Do you got tornadoes in Indiana? We need to know. And what's in Indiana? What's a tourist place I can go to and visit? Daniel jogged back into view. Everything's locked up, he said, as he joined me on the floor. But listen, Fairview's a big town. The chance that it'll hit this Walmart, I think will be okay. I never should have brought us here. You didn't know. None of us did. He wrapped his arms around me. They should have warned us, like an emergency alert on our phones or a tornado siren, something. The voice overhead rang out again through the stores. Do not stay out in the open. Do not make yourself visible. That includes security cameras. Please move to the spot that is not visible to any cameras. I frowned. What does that have to do with the tornadoes? A feeling of uneasiness in the pit of my stomach. I glanced up and saw several black globes descending from the ceiling, hiding the cameras within. I guess we should listen to them and get out of sight, I whispered. I grabbed Jackson's hand. Daniel picked up Tucker, and we jogged out into the center aisle. The store was an eerie sight, abandoned shopping carts askew in the aisles, full of everything from pies to batteries to plants. Footsteps echoed around the store from unseen people as they found their new hiding places. We dodged a shopping cart full of soda, ran through the kitchenware, and then stopped in the Easter decoration aisle. There was a camera in the central corridor, but as long as we stayed in the middle of the Easter aisle, we'd be invisible. The 4 of us crouched on the floor next to some demented-looking Easter bunny. I'm hungry, Jackson whined. Shh, Mommy. I grabbed a bag of colorful chocolate eggs and ripped it open. Here, candy. Happy? I whispered, thrusting them into his hands. Then I leaned back against the metal shelves, panting. I didn't have long to rest. A mechanical whine overheard, and then the voice came through the speaker again. Keep away from aisles with food. If you have food with you, leave it and move to a new hiding place. If you have any open wounds, cover them with clothing. What the heck? That had nothing to do with keeping safe in a tornado. We should make a run for it, Daniel whispered to me, starting to stand. But the tornado... I don't think there is a tornado. Listen, do you hear any wind? I listened, but all I heard was silence. No howling wind, no shaking ground, no projectiles clanging against the metal roof. Maybe it's still coming? I know what they're saying doesn't make sense, but to go outside? We need to get out of here, now. He grabbed Jackson's hand and held Tucker in his arms. Come on. Daniel, I don't think that's a good idea, I whispered, but the next words from the intercom changed my mind. Assume a fetal position and place your hands on your head. Close your eyes and do not open them for any reason. Can I just ask, what do y'all think is going on right now?
I think it's gonna be like, I think it might have been in another story we read. I'm not sure. I forgot what they were called, but if you're out at night and you hear like drums, you're supposed to like lay down and like shut your eyes and like not move until like, it's like, I think it was like a group. I don't know if it was like a ghost or like a group of people.
I remember. It was like the grandma telling the story about that.
And then you lay down on the ground, don't look at them until they pass by. But you can know that they're coming because of the drums that you hear in the distance. So I'm thinking maybe something like that. Maybe they just need to follow the instructions, just do that, don't look, and maybe whatever is in the store with them will pass them and then just be gone.
You know, I really like your theory. My first thought was, is there like a robbery? Is this like a shooting?
Nah, it's too weird to be a robbery.
There's like, you know, one of the robbery people are telling the people what to do so they can easily like rob Walmart. And if someone steps out of line, they can just get rid of the witness because they're in fetal position and not looking.
Right.
I'm not sure. Let's go. We broke into a sprint and ran down the central aisle. Cameras be damned. The front door appeared in front of us, a little black rectangle looming in the distance. And as soon as we got closer, I saw Daniel was right. There was a tree at the border of the parking lot under a streetlight, and it was perfectly still.
All because of that one random guy. He's just spreading rumors.
Literally. Because thinking it's a tornado. Oh my gosh. It was literally. That's what they got in their head because that one random guy saying that. We continued running past the clothing area, past the snacks lined up at the checkout line. I ran towards the sliding glass doors as fast as my legs would carry me. Almost there. Almost there. Almost. The doors didn't open. No. Daniel slammed his body against the door. It rattled beneath him. I tried to squeeze my fingers through the gaps between them and tried to pull them apart. They didn't budge. They locked us in, I whispered. I want to go home, Jackson said. Tucker was beginning to fuss too, making little noises like he was about to start full-on wailing. I turned around, and that's when I saw him, a Walmart employee. He was sitting on the ground at the end of one of the checkout aisles, facing away from us, wearing that familiar blue vest with the golden starburst. Hey! Let us out! He didn't reply. Did you hear me? I don't care if there's a tornado. Unlock this door and let us out. Again, he said nothing, but in the silence I could hear something, a wet smacking sound. I stared at the man, slightly hunched over, still facing away from me. Was he eating something? The speaker overhead crackled to life. Attention! Please do not talk to any Walmart employees. My blood ran cold. The smacking sound stopped, and then slowly the man began to stand. He placed his palms on the conveyor belt and pushed up, and I could see that they were stained with blood. I backed away, but my legs felt like they were moving through a vat of honey. No. Fingers locked around my arm and yanked me. Come on, Daniel shouted. I sprinted after him, deeper into the store. Tucker stared at me over his shoulder, and Jackson ran as fast as his little feet would take him. They can't even run at full speed. Like, how fast can a kid run? I was vaguely aware of the slap, slap, slap sound behind me, but I didn't dare look back. Daniel ran into the clothing area, and I swayed, dodging circular racks of t-shirts and wooden displays of baby clothes. He skid to a stop and ducked into the dressing room area. In here, he whispered, motioning to one of the rooms. We piled inside and locked the door. Daddy, Jackson startled. You listen to me very carefully, I said, crouching to his level. You have to be absolutely silent. Do not say a word, okay? Jackson looked at me, then Daniel, then he nodded and sat on the floor. I'm going to try to call 911, Daniel whispered, transferring Tucker to me and pulling out his phone. He tapped on the screen, then frowned. What? We don't seem to have any service. I don't... Thump. I grabbed Jackson and pulled him away from the door. The four of us huddled in the corner. I held my breath. Thump. Under the gap of the dressing room door, men's feet in black shoes. What would you guys do in this situation? Like, if you made all the same mistakes they made and now you're in the dressing room? Or would you kind of listen to the intercom and do what they say? I would have listened to the intercom, but I would have found a really good hiding spot
first.
I would have found a hiding spot and made sure I was completely covered. Maybe move the TVs and hide behind in the shelf.
It's giving very much The Walking Dead.
Imagine that's the first walker outbreak in the store like that.
And they locked you in because they don't want it to spread.
At least it will be full of walkers and not a city full of walkers. It's just a Walmart.
Okay. If that's happening, I'm going to the hunting section. I'm gearing up. I am gearing up.
It is a Walmart.
It's a Walmart. They got everything.
They have...
once I see that the coast is clear, from wherever I'm at, gearing up. I'm going to change my outfit and everything. I'm going to put on my survivalist outfit.
There's that camo suit for real. I'm pretty sure there's Darryl's bow and arrow.
Oh, yeah.
There's fishing rods and then the sports section.
Yep.
The hunting aisles where we all have to be in. Under the gap of the dressing room door, men's feet in black shoes, they slowly took a step forward, deeper into the dressing room. Don't move, I whispered, holding Jackson. The man took another step. Don't make a sound. Don't move. Don't. Tucker let out a soft cry.
Oh, no.
The man stopped. His feet turned, pointing at us. No, no, no. Tucker let out another cry, louder this time. My nails dug into Dylan's arm. Or Daniel. Did I say Daniel or Dylan this whole time?
Daniel.
Okay. My nails dug into Daniel's arm. No, a hand appeared. It slowly pressed against the floor, stained with blood. And then his knees appeared as he slowly lowered himself down to the gap. Could he fit under? The gap wasn't small. It was like the stall door to the bathroom. If he flattened himself against the floor, there's a chance he could fit under. At that point, if I see his head, I'm stomping on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the higher ground.
I
can step on the bench and then just
Yeah.
take a big jump. There was a chance he could fit under. I watched in horror as his stomach came into view. Think of him kneeling, kneeling down, sticking a hand underneath, and then finally he's lowering himself to lay flat. I watched in horror as his stomach came into view, his blue Walmart vest as he lowered his body to the floor. Then he pushed his arms under the gap and blindly swept it across the floor, as if feeling for us. This is it. We're done for. We're gonna die. And then he lowered his head. His face, oh God, there was something horribly wrong with his face. He smiled at us with a smile that was impossibly wide, showing off blood-stained teeth. His skin was...
Wait, a smile? Mm-hmm. Or
a smile, girl. His skin was so pale it was nearly blue, and his eyes, they were milky white, without pupils or irises. I opened my mouth to scream. Attention shoppers! The voice began overhead. No. Please make your way to the front of the store and make your final purchases. We'll be closing in 10 minutes. What? And then, before I could react, something unseen jerked the man out of view, and a strange dragging sound followed, as if someone was dragging his body out of the dressing room area. I stared at the door as Tucker's cries rang in my ears. But he didn't come back, and within 10 minutes, the usual hubbub of Walmart returned. Voices, footsteps, shopping carts, wheels rolling along the floor. Shaking, I finally got up and unlocked the door. The store looked completely normal. People were lined up at the cash registers, placing their goods on the conveyor belt. Employees were scanning tags, printing receipts, people walking towards the glass door, and when they did, they slid open. As soon as we walked towards the exit, I spotted the older man who warned us about the tornado earlier. What was that? I asked, unable to keep my voice from shaking. He shrugged. I guess the tornado missed us. What a miracle, huh? Giving us a smile, he disappeared out the glass door and into the night. The end.
Okay, my thoughts is that was a great story. It was definitely giving apocalyptic zombie, because I guess that Walmart worker was munching on someone.
Some commenters said, this story was sponsored by Target. Target don't have a hunting section.
Target would never let this happen in the first place.
Some other commenters say, Walmart isn't an easy job. Poor guy was just having a rough day. He probably didn't have his lunch break and had to wait till the last minute. Alright, so I'm gonna read part 2 of this story, and you're like, how could there be a part 2? Like, what could this even be about? It seems like the story wrapped up in the last one. This one's titled, Attention Shoppers. Ignore the blood, everything is fine. This time, don't think about the other
Family?
Don't think
We're
about
on new
them.
people?
Yeah.
Same situation, new people.
Does everything make sense? Would you like me to go over it one more time? I asked, trying to be patient yet firm. Look, outside the doors are the changing rooms. As soon as you set foot on the floor, you're responsible for what goes on in the store. Yeah, I got it, Jerry answered,
Jerry, of course.
wiping the melted chocolate from his Milky Way onto his shirt and placing the half-consumed bar on the table. I only get to play with the store-wide intercom if there's an extremely important announcement. And Myron needs to eat every hour because of his medical condition. Every half hour, I corrected, handing him a wet wipe. That's the most important rule, Jerry. It's an extremely important health issue, and as his co-worker, I'm expecting you to keep an eye on Myron. He nodded without looking at me, before turning and heading out of the break room, throwing on his blue Walmart vest. I watched as he walked placidly into his first shift, praying that he wouldn't mess up.
So it seems like their hungry coworker got loose. Just a hungry little fellow.
It's not as cute as you seem.
I watched as he walked placidly into his first shift, praying that he wouldn't mess up. Jerry messed up. Myron needed regular sugary snacks to keep his level under control and was scheduled to eat again at 8:45. It was his last feeding before we closed, and a voice in the back of my mind told me to make a quick check of the security cameras to see how things were going. Oh no. Myron was standing completely still next to a checkout counter near the exit. Even though the low-grade cameras, I could tell that something was very wrong. His skin looked pale, nearly blue. I jumped out of my chair ready to race across the store, but as my feet hit the floor, I saw that it was too late. Myron lunged at a man as he was walking by. I spun around and pressed the button for his store-wide intercom, took a steadying breath, and put on my best manager voice. Attention shoppers, I announced. Please move to the back of the store immediately. I knew that things might be okay if everyone did exactly as I said. No one moved. Please move to the back of the store immediately, I repeated, trying to stave off the panic. This is not a drill. Myron had pinned the man beneath him. His victim was not moving, but my announcement had distracted nearly everyone nearby, so he hadn't yet initiated a panic. I noticed that Jerry was not nearby. I pressed the button to auto-lock every door in the building. No matter how bad the dumpster fire got, I wasn't going to let him out into the world. That way I could at least say I prevented a citywide catastrophe. Do not stay out in the open, I repeated. Do not stay out in the open. I said for a third time, praying that they would listen. There was a pause. Then panic rippled through the crowd, moving them in ways that my pleas could not. I breathed a sigh of relief. My breath stopped when I saw a group moving towards the exit, right where Myron was feeding. I snapped back to the microphones, my hands shaking. Stay away from windows and doors, I ordered, and do not attempt to exit the store. Myron looked up. His mouth was covered in blood, and his face looked more mannequin than human. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The group stopped and stared at him. Myron slowly pivoted his neck as though vaguely aware that he was being watched. During his feedings, he was often distracted by his prey, but he wasn't totally oblivious. Do not stay out in the open. Do not make yourself visible, I ordered. Gosh, this was so bad. I was going to have to make a lot of evidence disappear. That includes security cameras. Please move to a spot that is not visible to any cameras, I added. The hyperventilation was pushing me to the edge, but I knew I couldn't pass out. Not again. Not again? I weighed running to the front of the store and confronting Myron, but what good would that do? In his state, he would only overpower me and consume me. No, I had to focus on keeping more potential victims out of sight. And for the most part, they were. Nearly everyone had hidden themselves. If all went well, we could ride out the rest of this mess until Myron returned to normal. Then he stopped eating, raised his now inhuman face, and sniffed through the thin, flat slits that were his nostrils. I scanned the 19 security cameras and found them on the 13th one. Oh no, a woman had opened a bag of chocolates and was feeding it to her kids. He stuffed 5 Milky Ways into his mouth at once. Myron could smell children digesting sugar from a quarter a mile away. Keep away from aisles with food, I announced. If you have food with you, leave it and move to a new hiding place. My mind raced to think of anything else these people might be doing to inadvertently provoke a monster. If you have any open wounds, cover them with clothing. I held my breath. Then Myron swallowed a mouthful of bicep and turned his head, very curious about what he had sniffed. Well, this is it, I thought. We're all going to die. I reached under the desk to unscrew the cap of my Kirkland signature moonshine, took a fiery sip, and leaned back into the intercom. Assume a fetal position and place your hands on your head. Close your eyes and do not open them for any reason.
So he was just gonna let them all die.
I leaned back, wondering who would be the first to die. Obviously that man that he lunged at. Then the Chocolate Kid family stood up and sprinted to the center aisle, which was about as wise as intimidating a lion by smacking it with raw wildebeest steaks. Myron's head turned slowly as he watched them careen into the locked exits. The husband's body slammed the door, finding out the hard way that the door was much stronger than him. Since this camera was the only one with audio, I got to hear every painful collision. Slowly, Myron rose. Then something twitched at his feet. Oh my god, the man he was snacking on, who now lacked both arms, both legs, and only had hamburger meat where his face used to be, was still alive. Myron stared down at him in confusion, forgetting the family at the door as he faced away from them. So as the family is smacking on the door and trying to grip it, they don't even know that Myron's looking at them.
He could have ran at them, took them by surprise too.
Yeah, they were like trying to get the doors open and like pry it with their finger. They weren't even looking at him. Then he reached into the man's open torso and grabbed some intestine, like it was stuffed with sausage. He knelt down into the man so that he could feast without using his hands. Against all odds, the family might now actually be able to escape if they were very quiet. Hey! They screamed at Myron. Let us out! I stopped breathing. Did you hear me? I don't care if there's a tornado. Unlock the door and let us out. Myron must have found an exceptionally tasty nugget in the colon.
Nugget! Oh no, that's so... Oh gosh.
Because he was chewing abnormally fast. I scrambled for the intercom. Attention, please do not talk to any Walmart employees. Myron looked up at the sound of my voice, and then he slowly began to stand, placing his palms on the conveyor belt and then pushing upwards. Now the family saw the blood. Now they slowly retreated. Now that it was too late, I watched helplessly as this family of 2 parents and 2 little kids ran for Myron while he lumbered after them. If it were just the 2 adults, they might have been able to hold him off, but the children were too small to move fast enough. The more impractical part of my mind begged them to just ditch one of them as sacrifice. Instead, they moved through the clothing section, making a beeline for the changing rooms. They were headed right for me. The gears in my mind whirled. I knew what I had to do. I opened the door, peeking through. My blood ran cold as I saw the eerie form of Myron in his changed state, looking confused around the changing room. Hey, I whispered. Hey, big fella. Hungry? I held out the half-eaten Milky Bar that Jerry had left behind. His nostril slits flared. Then he stepped towards me, licking his lips with a 7-inch tongue. I smiled. This was actually working. Then a baby cried from inside the changing room. I sighed. Myron stopped, turned around, and stared at the door. I shook the candy bar, but it didn't do any good. The baby kept crying, and Myron's curiosity had been piqued. He squatted, putting his hands on the floor, lowering himself to the gap at the bottom of the door. Oh, think of squat formation. That's even creepier than kneeling. Then he pushed his arms under the gap and blindly swept across it. And he lowered his head. Attention shoppers, the intercom announced. I whipped my head around. Freaking Jerry. Please make your way to the front of the store and make your final purchases, he announced into the microphone. We will be closing in 10 minutes. I stared back into the break room, aghast, and then I understood. The bored look on his face told me that he was oblivious to everything that had happened. He just wanted to check out, believing that the employees also left at closing time. My blood went from freezing to boiling.
Okay, we're gonna have to leave it on a cliffhanger because we have to shape these nails. As you can see, the thumb is barren. We're just gonna do her nails like this because, you know, we need our thumbs. So this is her nails, just the 4 fingers. She requested no nail on thumb.
I like just like having, to be able to use my thumb at least. This is how I'm gonna show people my nails.
Wow, those are real good. Can I see the thumbnail? Oh, what happened?
I just like using my thumb as much as the next guy.
What we're actually doing is I'm doing an Instagram reel for this thumbnail, so check out my Instagram if you want to see this. But for right now, we're going to move on to shaping. Okay, so here's how all the nails are looking after all the polygel's on. Now I just have my Makartt dust collector and a hand file, and we're going to get reshaping these nails. Okay, so here's how the nails are looking. These are so cute. For the record, sanity level, it's not a good one, to be honest. I'm still good.
We'll see after this nail art.
Okay, so we're gonna get started on the nail art. Luckily, it's nothing too hard. It's just some French tips. So on the pointer finger, we're going to be making it a green French tip. And Sister Spice is gonna continue reading the creepy Reddit story. Can do a little recap. The narrator is trying to lure Myron, the zombified man,
away from the dressing
family.
room, away from the family. And it didn't end up working, but then Jerry comes in and make an announcement on the intercom. All right, everybody, we're closing in 10 minutes, so go to the front of the store and make your purchases. And so to kind of pick up where we left off, instinct took over. Then as I found myself barreling towards Myron, I couldn't have anyone else seeing him, so the only hope was that my anger strength was enough. I knelt down and grabbed his ankles, dragging him away from the changing room door as my heart rate surged past 200. He clawed helplessly at the smooth floor, leaving smear blood marks in his wake. The first people crawled out of their hiding places just as I closed the break room door behind us. With Jerry, Myron, and me locked in the small room, I was overwhelmed with the smell of copper and body odor. Copper from the blood. Ooh. Hey man, I think most of the customers are gone, so I'm just gonna clock out.
Oh my god, what the heck is that thing?
Jerry stammered as he saw me step away from a confused and angry Myron. That is a promise I made to my mom just before she died. I wiped the sweat and blood from my face as they stung my eyes. I told her that I would make sure my brother always had a job and that he would always stay hidden. I breathed, moving behind Jerry and placing my hands on his shoulder, and that he would always be fed. I whispered the last part in his ear. Of course, Milky Ways are his favorite. They halted his changes, but when he turns, the only thing that brings him back home is me. He turned around, staring at me with fear. Yeah, it scares the heck out of me too, I answered. But while you were just chilling on your phone, he almost ate a baby. Myron hissed.
Oh gosh.
The sound instantly dried my mouth and throat. Then Myron lunged. Jerry screamed as I shoved him forward, because he's standing behind Jerry holding his shoulders. Jerry screamed as I shoved him forward. The sound cut off when he was parted from his trachea. My insides felt like they turned to liquid as I watched Myron chew. God, I hate working retail. The end.
I feel like it's not as like apocalyptic as I thought it was gonna be.
No, it's just Myron.
Yeah. And remember I said, I was like, it sounds like the store knows what's going on.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, oh my god, she's on something. I can't lead her that way. I gotta lead her straight.
So part 1 was about like the shopper's perspective and that family and like seeing that random beast in a Walmart and not knowing what the heck is going on. And then the second part is the perspective of the workers and them actually knowing what's going on. Yeah, so you see 2 different, like the worker and brother, Myron and the narrator, they're brothers, and then like the fear, the danger they put people in. Like, why does he have to have a job?
Right.
Work from home, dude. But that's the end. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are, I thought this was really good. I thought this was giving robber vibes and then pop up like zombie apocalyptic vibes, and then at the end it's just Myron.
Yeah.
He's a beast that transforms. Like, what kind of beast? Like
what are you?
what are you? And why is the brother not like that? And like, why do Milky Ways calm your urges? But I thought this story was really good and I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna be reading Am I the A-Hole? And this title is Am I the A-Hole for not going to my daughter's wedding? The Reddit page, it like has like a label. Some stories do have like, yeah, you are the a-hole, and some stories are labeled like, no, not the a-hole. So this story that I'm reading is marked not the a-hole, but we'll see what your guys' opinions are. The wedding was on March 25th, which coincides with my other daughter's birthday. She was born March 25th of 2022. She was barely 3 months when she passed away. My wife, not my eldest daughter's mother, so the wedding, the daughter's wedding, that's not her mom, so stepmom. My wife has been wanting to celebrate our daughter's life on the date of her birth. I also didn't feel it appropriate to leave my wife on this day since she is still grieving, as am I, and we haven't fully come to terms with things. When my eldest daughter was planning her wedding, I told her I'm doubtful I'd be there if she chose this date. I understand March 25th is significant to her relationship and that's why she chose it, but it just wasn't feasible for me. I was not even in a good place mentally on that day. It was just a day of tears. Obviously, there is a lot of guilt about missing my eldest daughter's special day, but I honestly don't know if what I did was wrong. Her side of the family has been sending me a lot of scattered messages, particularly her mother, so his ex-wife. Am I the a-hole for not going to her wedding?
In my opinion, no. There's really no other dates that can be significant to the daughter that she could put her, you know what I mean? Like, she had to put her wedding on that day.
Yeah, her step-sibling's death.
Yeah. Like, why can't it be, like, a new date? The dad even said to her, he was like, I don't know if I can make it. She said, okay, so no one should be upset, to be honest.
Yeah, and technically, like, I guess that's a year later, because 2023... I guess that's a year later, but that would also be the baby's first birthday. You know how first birthdays are special. And some commenters said, I'm gonna go against the grain here and say you are the a-hole. I totally understand the need to grieve, but you have a deceased daughter and a living daughter. You need to support your living daughter. She needs you there. I'm sorry if that sounds cold, but this was such a big event, and I'm sure she dreamt of you being a part of it.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, that's your step sibling too. Like, did you not like?
Right.
I know it was 3 months old. You probably could care less about it.
It's actually a half sibling.
Oh, half sibling. You're right. A half sibling. It's actually 3 months old, but I mean, it's still your sibling and part of your family, and that date belongs to her now. No, I think she could have picked another date that was significant too if she really want her dad there, because at the same time, it's just weird. It's like a sad day.
Right. It's a sad day. Right.
Another Am I the a-hole? For bringing my sister-in-law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it. Me, a female, 28, and my sister-in-law, Amy, who's a female and she's 26, always comes to visit from out of town. She stays with us instead of a hotel, and she always wants to go to an expensive restaurant. She always conveniently forgets her wallet or domes up with some excuse as to why she can't pay her share. She has implied that since I make much more money than her, I should be the one to pay. No, not my husband should pay, but me specifically. And that's her sister-in-law. So that would be her husband's
sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Not sister?
No,
oh my god, that's even worse. If it was my sister, I'd be like, I don't care.
Her husband's sister. Her husband's sister. I do make a fair amount of money, but not so much that I can treat someone every time they come to town. Nonetheless, in the past, I have just paid the bill and asked her to pay me back. She never has. She has made a reservation at an extremely expensive restaurant last night, and before we left, I made it clear that I wouldn't be paying her bill. This is where I might be the a-hole, and I'll admit, I got this move straight from an episode of 2.5 Men. As we were leaving, her and my husband went to the car. I pretended I forgot something and went back inside. I found her wallet sitting right on top of her suitcase. I put it in my purse. I would have took her credit card and stuff, or debit cards.
Yeah, take her credit card, use that to pay.
At the restaurant.
He's like, oh, no worries, you forgot your wallet, let me pay.
Like secretly, dig in my bag, but then grab her card and then
use
pay
her
it.
card.
Yeah, boom. How would she know?
Right, until she comes back later and she'd be like, I have
What
a
is
charge
this?
here.
Yeah, I'm like, I paid it, remember?
I paid it. That
No.
call the bank.
I put it in my purse and we went to the restaurant. When we were done eating, I asked for separate bills. She said, we need one bill because she forgot her wallet again. I reached in my purse and said, this wallet you mean? She was extremely furious. She said that I should have not touched it or grabbed her wallet. So am I the a-hole for taking her wallet and bringing it to the restaurant?
Wait, is she not even putting up an act either?
She just said, no, don't split the bill because I forgot my wallet.
Well, you should have told us that before, girl. Narrator is not the a-hole.
Yeah, and there's a little edit at the bottom. It said, Amy just called me. She saw this post and she yelled at me for bad-mouthing her on the internet. Honestly, I don't care. Amy, hopefully reading this and all these comments is a wake-up call for you.
Nah, I would have secretly, used her card to pay. Is that like fraud?
I think that's illegal, yeah.
I'm like, oh, I got it switched up.
Got it switched.
Why is your wallet
Yeah.
why is my wallet in your bag?
Oh, because I wanted to return it to you because you always forget your wallet, so I may have accidentally got your card. Just a true accident.
I think just so I don't get in trouble with the law, I would have done what the narrator did and been like, this wallet?
Yeah.
My commenter said, not the a-hole, but you totally should have flipped the switch, left your wallet at home, only brought your license, so she had to cover the whole bill, then never taken her out to a restaurant again. Like, forgot her wallet and be like, oh, you mean this wallet you forgot? And then she would have to pay because it's like, how I forgot my wallet too, but I brought yours. Another person was like, stop going out to eat with her. Just
Yeah.
stop. What's wrong with your
Yeah.
husband that he allows his sister to take advantage of his wife? This is your real problem, not the a-hole. Also, stop letting her stay at their house for free. Sister-in-law is going to be like that. She can get a hotel. No reason the narrator should have put up with the sister-in-law snide remarks in her own home.
What are your guys' thoughts?
This next one is, am I the a-hole for reporting a delivery driver who I thought was lying to get out of doing more work? So today for lunch, I decided to order from a Mexican restaurant through one of the food delivery services. I've had a bad experience or two where my order was missing in some items, but the driver would always be gone before I realized and couldn't catch them to fix the issue. I'd always have to report it through the app's support chat, which is such a pain to use because they obviously outsource their representatives and it's frustrating trying to communicate with them. I usually give up after a few messages going back and forth. When my driver arrived, I told her to stay so that I could check the bag and make sure everything was in there. Imagine, hey, can you stay so I can check my order? I noticed she kind of raised her eyebrows for a moment, but otherwise she stood quietly and waited. Sure enough, a couple things were missing. I politely said she needed to return to the restaurant and get my missing items. In a very neutral, rehearsed sounding tone, she said that it's against company's policy to do that. You should contact support through the app. I explained that I preferred not to deal with support. She said they're the only ones who can help and she really is not supposed to go back to the restaurant. I was a bit annoyed at this point, so I asked what the company policy was on making sure orders were correct. She said that restaurants close the bag for drivers and not meant to open them or contaminate the insides. Something about food safety violations and not being trained. After a moment, she apologized for the trouble and left. To me, this honestly just sounds like a bunch of BS excuses to get out of doing her whole job. If they can't go back to the restaurant, how are customers supposed to get their food/money back? If they can't open bags to check the orders, how do they even know they're delivering the right food? It makes no sense to me.
You don't want someone snooping through your food like that.
It's on the restaurant's part to make sure the order's right and labeling it who it belongs to. And if you think about it, that ain't the driver's job at all.
No,
the driver's
it's not.
job is to take the already packaged food, drive to the location, drop it off. That's all the driver does is take the already packaged food and bring it to their house. That's all they can do. So on the page where I rate my driver and can leave feedback, I made a note of my situation and explained why I thought she was in the wrong. I left 1 star and revoked my tip. A bit later, I was talking to my sister over the phone. who I thought would enjoy the story because she works for a different but similar delivery company. My sister said, "Did you actually think she was going to go back to the restaurant?" I laughed, thinking she was taking a dig at the competing company's driver, but she just said, "I'm not joking. You literally reported her for following the rules." At first, I thought my sister misunderstood a part of the story or something, so I just kind of brushed it off. But now, based on her reaction and both what her and the driver said, I'm wondering if they're right. Am I the a-hole for reporting her and taking my tip back because I thought she was lying? Yes, absolutely. There was this commenter that says, "Oh my, is this world really this small? This could be a total coincidence, and I guess I have no real way to confirm either way, but I had a very similar conversation with the customer today over a missing burrito and a side of cheese dip, and they said they were ordering from a Mexican restaurant." Even if you're not the person I talked to, I'm off the clock now, so I have some more words for you and people like you. First off, it's so annoying when people say, "Oh, hold on a sec, just want to make sure it's all here." Right then, I know I might be about to waste time having this exact same conversation. Yes, it's scripted because it happens all the time, and it's easier to be prepared. Second off, I cannot return to the restaurant. If I don't mark your order as delivered, it's in a given amount of time, I start getting calls from dispatch. If I mark your order as delivered, then go back to the restaurant, I've lost your order info because the system thinks I don't need it anymore. And usually I have another order waiting to be sent to me after yours, so I have to move on to that one. Third off, stop and think about it. Do you want a person you don't know opening your food containers with their hands that have been touching a steering wheel, dozens of door handles, doorbells, cash tips from questionable places, and that haven't been washed all day because they've been in the car? It's nasty and not sanitary. I try to verify with the restaurant, but most of the time they're practically shoving me out the door. So sorry. With the sanitary part, what if my car's dirty? Like, you want a roach crawling in your bag?
Right.
What if a bug accidentally got in when I opened my door? You want that thing crawling in your open bag because I checked your food for you?
Right.
And then you know what? Then now I'm the bad guy because I opened your bag and you're still gonna complain. Fourth off, I spend literally all day delivering food to people just to make money. With one of my companies, I have no choice but to deliver orders I'm giving, so I can't be lazy. With the rest, I still can't be lazy because if I am, that means less money. You know nothing about this industry. You know, like, you take more orders, you like really hustle in, and then you get more money. So they're literally not lazy. Like, they're just doing their thing and moving on. I couldn't say this before, but I could say it now. You are the a-hole. And another person said it could be compared to like the narrator reporting a UPS driver to UPS for getting all their Amazon orders wrong and not personally going back to the Amazon warehouse to get the right items. Not only is the driver not supposed to / allowed to inspect the contents of the package, but they are not responsible for them. The narrator came on here to rant and was hoping they could start a circle jerk of validation. I mean, they even told their sister, and their sister essentially confirmed that they're in the wrong. Yet, here they are, still posting, secretly hoping that the majority of people will back them up. Take a look at their profile and read their comments. They even used a throwaway account. And another commenter said, the narrator should have called the restaurant, who would either refund them or credit them for next time. If this is a regular occurrence, which it seems to be, calmly and respectfully bring up the issue to the restaurant and or stop ordering from that restaurant. The driver does not have the ability or luxury to partially refund the narrator from their pockets or ignore their queue of deliveries to act as a proxy for the OP. This whole ordeal is a perfect example of don't shoot the messenger. Literally, the delivery is just a messenger.
I think I'm gonna do a second layer on this nail. This blue is not that opaque.
Alright, so another am I the a-hole. My wife and I have been married for Almost a year. I really love my wife a lot, and she's an amazing person, but she does have one big character flaw. She tends to curse and swear a lot. I come from a family where nobody ever curses. Yes, I recognize the irony of posting in a subreddit with the title that references the AH word. As such, I am someone who never curses in their daily life at all. It was a bit shocking to hear how liberally my wife uses the F word if she got annoyed or mad. Furthermore, if we were to have kids, my wife's frequent swearing might be a bad influence on them, and it's just not a polite thing to do. So yesterday, I spoke to my wife and explained to her that I was concerned that she was swearing too much. I told her that I know she isn't dropping F-bombs every few sentences or anything like that, but the fact is she does tend to curse a lot, and it may not be good influence when we have kids, and she gets accustomed to the habit. I bought a swear jar and told her to drop a quarter in it every time she says any curse word, so that she slowly can wean herself off. Her response, loudly accusing me of being a effing dummy and that I was behaving incredibly childish. I just brought the topic up to her, and I wasn't intending to force her. This is just something that might be a deal breaker to me. Am I the a-hole?
Is it already his wife?
Yeah.
How do you not how did you not know this was something that she does?
And I don't understand what's the big deal about it.
I literally don't see the big deal.
I ain't cursing to a random stranger.
Right.
I hope your day's effing great.
Like, I'm speaking like that to no stranger.
One commenter, you are the a-hole. You knew how she spoke when you married her.
Right.
Or at least I hope you did.
If it bothered you that much, you shouldn't have brought it up this long before you even considered getting engaged. That bird has flown. Deal with it. Someone commented, it blows my mind that his go-to move here was to treat his fully grown adult that he chose to marry and be life partners with like an errant child he has to raise, rather than just sit down and tell her that the swearing bothers him, and he just went straight to financial punishment with no input from her at all. Swear jars are for children and adults who choose for themselves to stop swearing. All for a maybe one day child? Sounds like once he got a ring on her finger, he could stop pretending he actually liked her the way she was. Not to mention, he placed his own value on swearing. At least one study, like how it's not polite, at least one study has shown that swearing can be a sign of intelligence, which is a complete clickbait summary of findings, which have more to do with intelligent people know more swear words, which speaks to their vocabulary, and B, knowing when to use them to the maximum effect in a social cognition skill. And then lastly, swearing can be a sign of honesty and is related to integrity.
Okay, so here's all the colors. Very nice. That other blue we had, it was, first of all, the first blue, it was too sheer. The second blue was too dark, and now this blue is perfect. So the next thing we're gonna do is add on the nail decorations. Each of the nails are gonna have two little flowers, kind of like at the French tip line, and then some gems near the cuticle areas. And Sister Spice is gonna continue the stories. Also, these nails are gonna be matte.
This next story is from the subreddit Short Scary Stories. The title is, Today I Learned the Importance of Balance in an Ecosystem. I used to think my mother was insane. The way she planted flowers wherever she wanted, instead of in neatly beds. The way she hung dried herbs in the kitchen. The thing that probably got me the most was her radical acceptance of everything. Oh, leave the wasp nest be. They eat the caterpillars. Why would I bother the spiders in the bathroom? Do you see any other bugs? Oh, leave Mr. Benson. His bark is worse than his bite if you don't cross him. I tried to understand my mom, but it was hard. She talked about balance and ecosystems, but my friends didn't have cobwebs in their bathroom or worry about getting stung or chart a wide berth around Mr. Benson. Still, I tried. I left the wasp and the spiders alone. I brought over the pies to Mr. Benson that my mom baked for him. Then one night, I walked home from my friends. It wasn't far, but there was a stretch of dark woods along the way that made my hair stand on the back of my neck. Tonight was no different. The feeling of being watched was intense. I knew my mom was waiting for me on the porch, but our house was still out of sight. Ahead of me, the bushes rustled. I froze. I was so focused on the woods ahead of me that I nearly jumped out of my skin when a guttural moan sounded behind me.
Ew.
I whipped around and time slowed as my brain tried to compute what staggered out of the woods. I think it was supposed to be a deer, but it was standing on its hind legs. That creature's head snapped towards me. I turned to run, but tripped and fell.
Oh, of course.
You would trip and fall?
No, I would trip and fall. I would.
I turned to run, tripped and fell, hyperventilating and curled into a ball. Then I heard the bushes behind me rustle again. I felt something large burst out of the trees and fly over me. Pinning the creature to the ground was a vicious growl. The creature was hairy, massive, and from the sounds the deer creature was making, very hungry. I crawled backwards away from them, still unable to stand. The hairy creature stood on its hind legs, like the deer, and turned to me. This creature, however, began to change as it approached. By the time it reached me, it had shrunken down to normal person size and taken the shape of Mr. Benson. He scanned the forest and then offered me a hand up, saying only, "It's late, you should head home." I held it together pretty well until I saw my mom waiting on the porch. Then the sobs ripped through me as I threw myself into her arms. I gave her a halting account of my ordeal and finished gravely, "Mom, I think Mr. Benson is some kind of monster." She smiled. "Of course he is, sweetie." "You knew?" "Well, yes. Do you see any other monsters around here?" I used to think my mom was insane. Now I know she's a genius. You know how the mom is like, "Oh, the wasps eat the caterpillars. You know, the spiders are just chilling." She bakes pies for Mr. Benson regularly, keeps him, you know, the ecosystem.
So he protects them.
Doesn't cross them, you know? They didn't do anything to cross him. Person commented, "Weird moms are the best moms."
Okay, so all the nail art is done and all the nail decorations are on. These are looking so cute, but the last final touch is adding the little beads in the middle of all the flowers.
Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of my Reddit storytelling for this video, but I'll be back in the next vid for more stories.
Okay, now we're gonna add on some cuticle oil. Hey, sanity check, just interrupting this little ending part here. So at the beginning of the vid, I said my sanity level was at a good 1 out of 10, which is good. You know, that means I'm like not frustrated or anything. We finished this nail set at currently 8:48. So my sanity level ending this nail set is probably at a 3 because I'm like a little hungry and tired, and we had a few mishaps where we had to restart the nails. But you know, other than that, like I'm really happy with the outcome. So that makes me feel less insane.
It was at a 7 before.
Oh, I was at a 7 at one point.
So here are how the nails turned out. Let me know what you guys think of this nail set in the comments. I am so happy with these nails. They are so cute. Perfect for the springtime. They're really simple but so cute, but what makes them really different is the back of the nails being this flower nail art design. That is just so cool. I wish I cleaned the back of the nails. I kind of didn't. But yeah, I just love this nail set, and I am really glad that I changed that blue color on the pinky nail because the first two colors we were trying, they just did not work. But finally this last color fits perfectly. Yeah, I'm super happy with these, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was an extra long one. I hope you guys liked the Reddit stories. Let us know which story was your favorite. I think my favorite was definitely the one in the Walmart with Myron, that weird zombie situation. Yeah, that was a really good story. But anyway, that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!